The first thing she noticed was the silence. Heavy, unnatural. The kind of silence that presses against your skin like cold water, making it hard to breathe. Then came the pain, sharp and insistent, blooming behind her eyes and curling down her spine. Joy blinked slowly, the fluorescent lights above her flickering like distant lightning. She wasn't dead. At least, she didn't think she was. But everything felt wrong. Distant. As if she'd woken up inside someone else's life. "You're awake," a voice said, soft as velvet and threaded with something unplaceable. Joy turned her head, every movement slow and dragging, and met the gaze of the most beautiful woman she had ever seen. Pale skin that looked like porcelain kissed by moonlight. Hair so dark it absorbed the light around it. And eyes, those golden eyes, that locked onto hers with an intensity that made her chest tighten. "Joy," the woman breathed, her lips trembling with something between relief and longing. "Oh, thank God. You're awake." Joy's throat was dry, voice barely a whisper. Do I know you?" The woman flinched, just slightly. Not enough for anyone else to notice, but Joy caught it. She caught everything. Her senses were sharp in a way that felt alien. She could hear the distant hum of machines down the hall, feel the cool brush of air conditioning on her skin, smell the faint trace of roses clinging to the woman's clothes. "It's me, baby. It's Lila." The woman stepped closer, taking Joy's hand between her own. "I'm your wife." Joy blinked. "Hard." "My what?" Lila smiled, but it was tight at the corners. "I know you must be confused. The doctors said you might have some memory loss after the crash. But I'm here now. I've been with you every day." "Crash." Joy's heart stuttered. "What crash?" "You were in a car accident. A bad one. 4 weeks ago." Lila's voice cracked, barely. "They had to put you into a medically induced coma to reduce the swelling in your brain. You've been out ever since." "And we're married?" Joy asked again, as if the word might make more sense the second time. Lila nodded, then reached into her purse and pulled out a small photo. Joy stared. It was a picture of the two of them, her and this, Lila. They were standing in front of a small white chapel, holding hands, both dressed in white. Joy was smiling like she'd never known pain. Lila's gaze in the photo was fixed entirely on her. Possessive. Adoring. "This can't be real," Joy whispered. "I don't remember any of this. I don't remember you." "It's okay," Lila said, brushing hair from Joy's forehead. "Memory loss is common. We'll get through it together." But there was something about her voice that sent a shiver down Joy's spine. Something too calm, too practiced. And those eyes, there was nothing human about them. For the next few days, Joy was flooded with faces and names she didn't recognize. Doctors, nurses, friends who visited with flowers and forced smiles. All of them acting like everything was normal. But nothing felt normal. Especially not the way Lila hovered by her side. Always watching. Always touching. And Joy couldn't deny the pull she felt toward her. It was maddening. Her body reacted to Lila instinctively. Her skin tingled under her touch. Her breath caught whenever Lila leaned close. Her heart betrayed her every time Lila whispered her name. But her mind screamed against it. This wasn't love. This wasn't normal. This was something else. One night, when the hospital was quiet and the moon was full outside her window, Joy caught her reflection in the glass. Her pupils were dilated. Too wide. Her skin looked paler than before. And when she pressed her fingers to her neck, she felt the faintest sting. 2 small puncture wounds. She hadn't seen them before. She didn't know how long they'd been there. When she looked over her shoulder, Lila was there. In the doorway. Watching her. Smiling. "You should rest," Lila said, voice like silk wrapping around her spine. "You've been through so much." Joy didn't sleep that night. Not really. Not with the phantom ache in her neck. Not with the sound of Lila's voice echoing in her dreams. And not with the sinking feeling that the life she woke up to didn't belong to her at all, but to the woman with the golden eyes. The ride to the house was quiet, but the silence between them wasn't empty. It was heavy, laced with something unsaid. Joy sat in the passenger seat, her fingers twitching slightly as she stared out the window at the unfamiliar road. Lila drove with one hand on the steering wheel and the other resting casually on Joy's thigh, as if they had done this 1,000 times before. And maybe they had, just not in any life Joy remembered. The house appeared like a phantom at the end of a long, narrow driveway, surrounded by dense trees that blocked out most of the afternoon sun. It was old, Victorian in style, with ivy clinging to its weathered brick and tall windows that stared like hollow eyes. It didn't feel like home. It felt like a memory someone else had left behind. "We bought it together 3 years ago," Lila said, as if reading her thoughts. "You fell in love with it the moment we saw it. You said it felt like us." Joy forced a smile. "I must have had questionable taste." Lila chuckled, the sound low and rich. "You always said you liked things with history." Inside, the house was eerily beautiful. High ceilings, antique furniture, walls lined with shelves of books and old paintings. It smelled faintly of roses and something metallic beneath it. Joy wandered slowly, trying to connect with anything, any object, any photograph, any sensation that might feel familiar. But everything felt distant, like walking through a museum curated by a stranger. She paused in front of a large framed photo above the fireplace. It was the two of them again, dressed for some kind of formal event. Joy's head was thrown back in laughter. Lila pressed close to her side, her mouth just grazing Joy's temple. They looked inseparable. In love. But Joy felt nothing. Not familiarity. Not warmth. Only confusion. "You stare at that picture for 20 minutes the day we hung it up," Lila said from behind her. "You said it made you feel safe." Joy turned slowly. "Why do you know every reaction I've ever had?" Lila tilted her head. "Because I pay attention to you. Because I love you." Joy's heart stuttered. Not at the words. At the way they were said. Quietly, possessively. Like a vow. Or a warning. That night, Lila cooked dinner while Joy explored the rest of the house. The bedroom was spacious, dimly lit, with dark curtains that blocked out all outside light. The bed was large and covered in deep burgundy sheets. On the nightstand, Joy found a bottle of her perfume, a book with a bookmark halfway through, a journal. She opened the journal. The handwriting was hers, but she didn't remember writing a single word. She flipped through pages of thoughts, musings, declarations of love. Pages and pages about Lila. Obsession even. There were sketches of her face, her eyes, her lips. Notes about how her skin felt like silk, how her voice made the world quieter, how Joy would do anything to stay with her. A line caught her eye. "She promised I wouldn't regret it. I said yes. I meant it, even if it means changing everything." A chill crawled down her spine. Changing everything? Joy snapped the journal shut. She went to the mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, paler than before. The dark circles under her eyes weren't from the hospital. They hadn't gone away. Her pupils were still too wide. Her skin too cold. She touched her neck. The puncture marks were still there. She hadn't imagined them. "Dinner's ready," Lila called sweetly from downstairs. Joy stared at herself a moment longer. She didn't look like herself anymore. Over dinner, Joy pushed food around her plate, appetite non-existent. Lila watched her carefully. "You used to love this," she said. "You'd ask me to make it after every long day." Joy forced a bite, but it tasted like ash. "My body feels different," she muttered. "Like I'm reacting to things that shouldn't bother me." "It's probably stress," Lila offered smoothly. "Trauma can alter your senses temporarily." "I had a nightmare last night," Joy said, meeting her gaze. "I was walking through the woods, and something was chasing me. But when I turned around, it wasn't a monster. It was you." Lila smiled faintly. "That's not very romantic." "You had blood on your mouth." The smile vanished. For a second, just 1 second, Lila's expression went blank. Then she reached across the table and gently touched Joy's hand. "Dreams are just echoes of fear. I would never hurt you, Joy." Her voice was soft. Too soft. Joy didn't pull away. She didn't want to. That was the terrifying part. Everything in her screamed to run, but the warmth of Lila's touch, the way her golden eyes burned like candlelight, made it impossible to move. Maybe I should see someone, Joy whispered. A therapist. Lila's jaw tightened. You don't trust me? I don't trust myself. Lila stood, walked around the table, and knelt beside her. Then let me be your mirror. Let me help you remember who you are, who we are. Don't you feel it even now? Joy stared at her. She wanted to say no. She wanted to scream, but instead she whispered, yes, because it was true. Whatever this was, whatever force bound her to Lila, it was still there. Inexplicable. Intoxicating. That night, Joy couldn't sleep. She walked the house, barefoot, haunted by her own reflection. In the library, she found a drawer with old photo albums. One showed a beach trip, Joy in a bikini, Lila beside her, the two of them tangled in a blanket as the sun set. Another showed Joy on her birthday, a cake shaped like a crescent moon, Lila feeding her the first bite. Everything in the photos looked real, felt real. But why didn't she remember any of it? And why did every memory feel like it was trying to possess her? Later, in the hallway, she passed a mirror again, and for one breathless second, she swore she saw herself standing still, but Lila moving behind her, even though she was alone. Joy staggered back. When she turned around, the hallway was empty, but she wasn't alone. She could feel her. Watching. Wanting. The night ended in the bedroom. Lila joined her in bed, curling her body around Joy's like they'd done it for years. Joy lay frozen for a moment, then slowly relaxed against her. You smell like rain, Joy murmured without thinking. You always said that, Lila whispered. Before you forgot me. I don't think I did, Joy replied, eyes fluttering closed. I think you're in my blood. Lila pressed her lips to the back of Joy's neck, softly. You asked for this, she said so quietly Joy barely heard it. You begged me for forever. And just like that, Joy fell into a sleep she couldn't fight, haunted by images of fangs, of blood, of moonlight glinting off sharp teeth, and a voice, low and tender, promising eternity in exchange for everything she was. Joy couldn't sleep anymore. Not truly. When she closed her eyes, images flickered behind her eyelids, unfamiliar memories bleeding into half-formed nightmares. Lila's mouth on her neck. A candlelit room with walls that pulsed like veins. A whispered promise. You won't be human anymore, but you'll be mine. She'd wake drenched in sweat, her heartbeat slow but thunderous, as if her body had started obeying a rhythm no longer her own. Lila was always there when she woke, sitting on the edge of the bed, brushing hair from Joy's face, watching her like a hawk watches its prey, but with too much affection for it to feel threatening, until it did. The house had its own rhythm too, groaning softly at night like it remembered things she didn't. Joy had begun exploring it in secret. Lila rarely left the house, but when she did, stepping out only at dusk or cloudy afternoons, always with gloves and long sleeves, Joy would roam. The attic was filled with antiques, old trunks, dusty gowns, cracked porcelain dolls with staring eyes. One trunk in particular was locked tight, but the initials JW were etched into the leather. Her own initials. Joy's hands trembled as she touched them. Who were you before her? She whispered to the silence. She tried to pry it open, but it wouldn't budge. She needed a key. She needed answers. Downstairs, in the hallway closet, behind old coats, she found a stack of boxes labeled with her name. Inside, photos, receipts, letters. Pieces of a life she didn't remember living. One envelope caught her attention. It was addressed to Joy Williams, dated 6 months before the crash, and sent from someone named Dr. O'Hara, a therapist. Her breath caught. She opened it. The note was brief. Our sessions have made progress, but I urge caution with the choices you're considering. There are consequences you may not fully understand. Please, think carefully before you go through with it. The handwriting shook. Joy read it 3 times before folding it back. What choices had she been making? What had she planned? That night, she asked Lila about the attic. Just old things. Lila said smoothly. You never liked going up there. Said it made you feel haunted. There's a trunk with my initials on it. I've never seen one. Lila smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Are you sure you're not remembering dreams instead of facts? Do I dream about things that exist? Sometimes, Lila said, brushing Joy's wrist with her fingers. Your mind is powerful. Hungry. Joy pulled her hand away. What does that mean? Lila just smiled again and said nothing. The next day, while Lila napped, if she ever truly slept, Joy ventured to the basement. Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories. The door creaked open like it hadn't been used in years, and the air that greeted her was thick, damp, almost electric. She descended slowly, flashlight in hand. The stairs groaned beneath her weight, and the walls seemed to lean inward the deeper she went. The basement was large, stone-walled, lined with shelves of wine bottles and old furniture. But one wall was wrong. It was newer, patched over with wood that didn't match the age of the rest. And there, almost invisible, was a seam in the floorboards. A trapdoor. Joy knelt, heart pounding. It took everything in her not to run back upstairs. Her fingers found the edge and lifted. The hatch opened with a reluctant sigh. Beneath it, darkness. And a set of stairs leading down. Another basement beneath the basement. She hesitated for only a moment. Then she descended. The air grew colder, tighter. At the bottom, the room opened into stone again. Bare walls, except for the symbols carved into them. Circles, crescents, runes she didn't recognize. In the center of the room was a bed, or what remained of one. A mattress stained dark, the scent of old blood lingering in the air. Shackles on the floor, the kind used to restrain wrists. The metal was rusted, but stained. And on the wall above the bed, a photograph of her, naked, sleeping, bite marks fresh on her neck. And beside her, Lila, watching her, eyes glowing in the darkness of the camera flash. Joy stumbled back, while rising. This wasn't love. This was ritual. This was madness. Something scraped behind her. She spun around, flashlight trembling. Nothing. Just the sound of her own ragged breath. Then she heard it. A whisper. So faint it barely registered. You asked for it. She fled. Climbing both sets of stairs, slamming the hatch shut, running through the house until she reached the bathroom. She turned on the light and stared into the mirror. Her eyes. They weren't just wide now, they were glowing. Faintly but undeniably. A golden tint had begun to seep into the edges of her irises. Her teeth ached. Her skin was flawless. Cold. She splashed water on her face, trembling. What's happening to me? Lila appeared in the doorway, silent as a shadow. You went downstairs. Joy turned to face her. You drugged me. What did you do to me down there? Lila stepped forward. Nothing you didn't ask for. I never. You did, Lila interrupted, voice sharp. You begged me. You were so tired of being fragile. So tired of hurting. You said you wanted forever. And I gave it to you. But you wanted to forget. So I made you forget. You did this. Joy shouted. You wiped my memory? I did what you asked me to do. Lila's voice broke. Because I love you. Because you couldn't handle what you were becoming. Joy stared at her. What am I becoming? Lila stepped into the light. Her skin glowed faintly, unnaturally smooth. Her fangs peeked through parted lips. Mine. That night, Joy locked the bedroom door. It wouldn't stop her. Nothing would stop Lila if she truly wanted in, but Joy needed the illusion of control. She collapsed on the bed, heart pounding. The truth had begun to form like fog clearing around a nightmare. She'd chosen this, or a version of her had. But she didn't remember that version. She didn't feel like her. She didn't want to be her. As she drifted into uneasy sleep, a voice whispered in her mind. Not Lila's this time. Her own. A memory, rising. Promise me I won't feel pain anymore. Lila's voice replying. Not pain. Hunger. The dreams had begun to leak into her waking hours. Joy would catch herself drifting mid-thought, only to be jolted by flickers of memory that didn't feel fully her own. The brush of fingers against her cheek. A promise whispered in the dark. Eyes, those golden eyes, looking at her with something deeper than love, heavier than obsession. When she looked in the mirror now, her face seemed both familiar and foreign. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. Her pupils remained wide, her irises tinged faintly with gold. Her heartbeat, though steady, felt slower than it should be. She no longer felt hunger, at least not for food. She skipped meals without meaning to. Everything tasted wrong, distant, bland, like biting into paper. Lila noticed. Of course she did. She always noticed. Your body's adapting, she said one evening, her voice calm, her eyes studying Joy like a physician might study a fever. You're still in transition. Joy folded her arms across her chest. I didn't ask for any of this. You did, Lila replied gently. Maybe not now. Maybe not in this moment. But before you did. Joy's chest tightened. Then why don't I remember? Because you asked me to take it away. The pain. The weight. All of it. Lila stood from her chair and walked toward her slowly. You begged me for something different. A way out. Joy took a step back. No. You're manipulating this. You're using my grief as an excuse to rewrite who I am. Lila flinched as if struck, then regained her composure. I would never do anything you didn't ask of me. Everything I've done, I did out of love. Love doesn't erase people, Joy said, voice trembling. Love doesn't hide the truth. Lila reached out, but Joy didn't let her touch her. Not this time. Then let me help you remember, she said. Not with words, with feeling. Joy hesitated. She didn't trust her, but she trusted that there was something locked inside her, some truth that might make sense of the chaos. Slowly, she nodded. Lila stepped closer, her hand hovering over Joy's heart for a moment before she placed it there gently. The contact was barely a whisper, but it sent a wave of sensation through her. Not heat, cold clarity. And with it came the flood. Fragments. Laughter in a quiet room. Joy sitting in Lila's lap, reading aloud from an old book. Rain tapping on the windows while they shared secrets in candlelight. A vow. I don't want to lose this. Not again. The memories weren't loud or dramatic. They were quiet, intimate, ordinary, yet profound. And woven through all of them was one emotion, longing. A yearning that hadn't gone away even now. When Joy stepped back, her eyes burned with tears. I don't know what's real anymore. Lila looked at her gently. Everything you felt was real. Even the choice to forget was real. You were in pain, Joy. You'd lost so much. You came to me looking for something permanent. Something no one could take away from you. Joy sat on the edge of the couch, her head in her hands. But this, what I'm becoming, I never imagined it would feel like losing myself. You're not losing anything, Lila said softly. You're evolving. Or unraveling. The next day, Joy waited until Lila left, saying she had to feed, a word that still made Joy's skin crawl, and slipped out of the house for the first time. The air outside was crisp, grounding. She walked aimlessly, letting her instincts guide her. That's when she saw it, a cabin tucked into the edge of the woods, a warm light flickering behind its windows. She didn't remember the place, but her feet carried her to it without hesitation. When she knocked, a woman opened the door. She was in her early 40s, with sharp eyes and dark curls, and she froze when she saw Joy. Joy, the woman whispered. You're alive? You know me? The woman pulled her inside, disbelief in every breath. It's me, Dr. O'Hara. You used to come here for therapy? You said this place felt safer than an office. More private. Joy's pulse quickened. You wrote me a letter. You warned me. Dr. O'Hara nodded solemnly. You were in a dark place when we met. You'd just lost your mother. You said you felt empty, like you didn't belong in your own skin anymore. And then you met her. Lila. Yes. You said she made the world feel quiet. That being with her made the grief disappear. But I could tell it scared you. Why? Because you didn't know if it was love or something more dangerous. You talked about change, about giving up everything you knew. I asked her to make me forget. You said you didn't want to feel anymore. You asked her to erase the weight of your life. But the last time I saw you, you were different. Cold. Detached. You said it had already started and that you weren't sure you could stop it. Stop what? The transformation. Joy stared at her. Can it be reversed? If you haven't completed it, maybe. But the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. You're in between now, Joy. Not human. Not fully like her. But if you choose to break the bond, it'll be painful. You'll remember everything. Every ounce of grief you buried. And if I don't, then you'll lose the rest of yourself. Joy stood. Thank you. Be careful, Dr. O'Hara said. She won't let go easily. Joy returned to the house as the sun began to fall, casting long shadows across the trees. When she stepped inside, Lila was waiting. Her face was unreadable. You left, she said quietly. You went to her. I needed answers. And did she give them to you? She gave me the truth. Lila's jaw tightened. You think I lied to you? I think you loved me so much you stopped seeing me clearly. Everything I did was to protect you. You turned me into something I didn't understand, Joy said. You gave me no choice but to forget, because the pain was killing you. Lila's voice cracked. You were breaking apart and I'm still breaking, Joy whispered. Just differently. Lila looked away. If you walk away now, Joy, it won't be easy. Everything you buried will come back. Maybe it should. Silence stretched between them, deep and fragile. Finally, Joy spoke again. I don't hate you, Lila, but I need to remember who I was fully, not just what you wanted me to keep. And with that, she turned and walked to the stairs, her body trembling but her mind steady. She didn't know yet what path she would take, only that it had to be hers. Joy hadn't dreamed in days. Or maybe she had, and simply couldn't tell anymore. Reality and memory were tangled now, stitched together by 1,000 invisible threads. Her mind felt like a room half-lit, where shadows whispered from corners she was still too afraid to enter. But there was no more time for fear. She sat at the edge of the bed, watching her reflection in the darkened window. Her face was changing. Softer. Sharper. Her skin held a strange glow under moonlight, as though the night had begun to claim her inch by inch. The hunger was getting worse. Not for food, never for food, but for something nameless. A quiet, constant craving that lived just beneath her thoughts. She pressed her fingers to her temples. I have to stop this, she whispered. The next morning, before Lila could stir, Joy left the house. She knew where she had to go. The woods were quieter than before, as if nature itself had paused to watch her. She returned to the cabin. Dr. O'Hara opened the door, with eyes already filled with concern. You came back, she said. You're ready. Joy nodded. Tell me how to end it. The doctor stepped aside, letting her in. The warmth inside felt foreign now, almost too human. Dr. O'Hara led her to a large wooden chest. From within it, she pulled a thin, leather-bound book. Old. Worn. This is from a time when people still understood that not all bonds are built on love. Some are built on need. Or obsession. Or grief. She opened to a page marked with a faded ribbon. There's a ritual. Rare. Forgotten by most. It's not a cure, Joy. It won't make you human again. But it will stop the change. And it will sever your connection to her. Joy's heart ached. Sever. Completely. Even the memories? No. The memories will return. All of them. But the pull, the link, the power she holds over you, it will end. What do I need to do? Dr. O'Hara hesitated. You'll need to face your grief without her. Feel everything you buried. The pain, the fear, the loneliness. And you must do it alone. In your blood, a part of her still lingers. The ritual will burn that out. What happens if I fail? Then the change completes. You'll be one of them. And she'll have you forever. Joy looked down at the open page. Symbols she couldn't read surrounded a small passage written in English. To sever the bond, one must bleed willingly beneath the moon, where the choice was made. Alone. Untouched. Remembering. Her throat tightened. Do I need anything else? Just resolve, the doctor said.
And time.
You only have one more full moon. After that, it'll be too late. Joy took the book and left. When she returned to the house, Lila was waiting at the window. Her expression unreadable. You were with her again. Joy didn't deny it. I needed answers. And did she offer comfort? Safety? Or just more fear? She offered the truth. Lila stepped forward. And what do you plan to do with it? I'm going to break the bond, Joy said, her voice quiet but steady. I'm going to remember who I was before you. Lila flinched. You don't understand what that will cost. Then let me pay it. I never meant to hurt you, Lila said. When you came to me, you were drowning. You looked at me like I was the only solid thing left in your world. I wanted to protect you. You buried me, Joy replied, alongside my pain. Because you begged me to, Lila's voice broke. I didn't force this on you. You chose it. You looked me in the eyes and said, take it all. And I did. But I didn't understand what I was giving away. You gave away your suffering, Lila whispered. And now you want it back. You want to feel that again. Yes, Joy said. Because if I don't, I'm not me. A silence stretched between them. For a moment, neither moved. Then Lila reached out and placed something in Joy's hand.
A key.
Small.
Cold.
Familiar.
The attic, she said.
There's a trunk with your name on it. You always wanted to open it when you were ready. You told me not to give you the key until you were sure. Joy stared at the metal in her palm. Why now? Because if this is the end, you deserve to remember all of it. Joy went upstairs, heart thudding. She unlocked the trunk. Inside were photographs, letters, notes in her own handwriting. Pieces of a life she had once lived fully. Letters to herself. One dated just before the accident. If you're reading this, then you forgot. Maybe that's what you wanted. But just in case you change your mind, remember this. You loved her.
Deeply.
But not blindly. You knew the danger. You walked into it with your eyes open. That's not weakness. That's love with courage. And if you choose to walk away now, do it knowing you were never a victim. You were a soul trying to heal. Joy felt tears fall before she noticed them. That night, she sat in bed while Lila stood in the doorway. If I go through with this, Joy said, you'll feel it too. Won't you? Yes, Lila said. It will tear me apart. But I won't stop you.
Why?
Lila's gaze softened. Because I'd rather lose you to yourself than keep you like this. Joy nodded once. Then this is goodbye. No, Lila whispered. This is freedom. And she walked away. Joy stared at the moon through the window. The full moon would rise in 3 days.
3 days to prepare.
3 days to reclaim herself. Or surrender forever. The moon was only 2 nights away. It loomed in the sky like a silent promise, casting silver shadows across the house. Joy felt it before she saw it, an invisible thread pulling at her chest, tightening with each passing hour. She stood by the window, arms wrapped around herself, watching the wind move through the trees. Something inside her was shifting. Not physically, emotionally. A sense of urgency. A sense of reckoning. She had been preparing for the ritual, but it felt less like a ceremony and more like a conversation she needed to have with herself. And with Lila. The house was quiet. Lila had been giving her space, as if honoring Joy's wish to choose freely. But Joy could feel her presence. Down the hall. In the room next door. Always close, yet not close enough. That night, the hunger returned with startling intensity. Her throat ached. Her skin buzzed. Her senses felt overwhelmed, every sound magnified, every scent laced with meaning. She curled up in bed, trembling, unsure if the pain came from her body or her heart. Her mind drifted into memories, not fragments this time, but whole moments. She was sitting by the fire, Lila's head resting in her lap. Joy was reading aloud from a book of poems. They were laughing. Not wildly, but softly. The kind of laugh shared by two people who trusted each other with their silences. Then another memory, one more difficult. Joy alone in the bathroom, crying silently as she looked at a photo of her mother. Her hands shook. Her chest collapsed inward. And Lila appeared behind her, wrapping her arms around her without a word. They stayed that way for hours. These weren't visions to be feared. They were hers. Part of her. They held both the pain and the love she had tried to erase.
She sat up in bed.
Her hands clenched. "I don't want to forget," she whispered to the darkness. "Not anymore." The next day, Joy returned to the cabin one last time. Dr. O'Hara greeted her with a cautious smile. "You look stronger," she said. "I feel more myself." Joy sat down across from her. "But I need to know, will the ritual erase what I feel for her?" The doctor shook her head.
No.
"It will remove the supernatural link. The bond formed through the turning. But what you feel, your love, your memories, those remain. You'll simply be free to choose them, without influence." Joy nodded. "Then I want to do it. Tomorrow night. The full moon. You'll need to be alone, in the place where the choice was first made." "The woods," Joy murmured. "There's a clearing. I think I remember it." "That's the place," Dr. O'Hara confirmed. "You'll bring the book, the symbols, and a piece of your past, a memory that still belongs to you." "I know exactly what I'll bring." Back at the house, Joy packed slowly. She placed the ritual book in a small bag, along with a photograph, one she had taken herself, just months before the accident. It showed her and Lila sitting in a field of dry grass. They weren't touching. They weren't even smiling. But they were looking at each other. And the emotion in that gaze said everything. That night, as she sat in the living room, Lila entered quietly. She didn't speak at first. She just stood across from Joy, watching her. "I can feel it," she said finally. "You're leaving." Joy met her eyes. "I'm not running. I'm choosing." Lila sat down slowly. "Do you hate me?" "No," Joy answered without hesitation. "I think part of me always loved you, even when I didn't understand why. And the other part needed to remember what it meant to be whole without you." Lila closed her eyes, just for a moment. "I wanted to take away your pain. I didn't realize I was taking pieces of you with it." "You wanted to save me," Joy whispered. "But I needed to learn how to survive." A pause. Then Lila said, "If you go through with this, I won't be able to feel you anymore. Not like before. Not across distance. Not in dreams. It will be like losing you all over again." Joy's throat tightened. "But if I don't, I'll lose myself." Lila stood, walked to her. "Then promise me something." "What?" "That if you still love me after the bond is broken, you'll come back." Joy didn't hesitate. "I promise." The next night arrived like a heartbeat in the dark.
Slow. Certain.
The forest welcomed her like a place that had always been waiting. The clearing was there, just as she remembered it, soft grass, moonlight filtering through the branches. She placed the book in the center and opened it. She drew the symbols in the dirt. She placed the photo on top. And she whispered the words. The ritual was quiet, painful, but not in her body. In her soul, the memories came like waves. Every moment she'd buried. Every tear she'd refused to cry. Her mother's voice. The loneliness. The night she begged Lila to take the pain away. It all returned. Joy sobbed, hands pressed to the earth. Her body trembled. But she didn't stop. When the final word left her lips, the wind stilled. The trees silenced. And she felt it. The bond snapping. Not with cruelty, but with release. The hunger faded.
The pull vanished.
Her mind was clear. Her heart bruised, but hers again. She fell asleep there, in the clearing. Not from exhaustion, but from peace. For the first time in months, she dreamed without shadows. The air felt different. Quieter. Not in the way the forest usually whispered with wind or the rustle of small creatures, but in a way that settled deep in Joy's chest. Stillness. Not emptiness. Just stillness. The bond was gone. She knew it the moment she woke, curled in the clearing beneath the pale light of early morning. There was no invisible thread pulling her toward Lila, no phantom warmth echoing in her skin, no whisper of her voice inside Joy's thoughts. For the first time in what felt like forever, Joy was alone inside her own mind. And yet the ache remained. Not the same ache as before, the hungry one, the burning craving, but a softer ache, quiet and human. The ache of missing someone, of loving someone still. She stood slowly, the ritual symbols now just disturbed dirt and scattered leaves. The photo she'd placed at the center of the spell had faded at the edges, but it hadn't burned. She picked it up and tucked it into her coat. The moment wasn't supposed to feel this peaceful, but it did. The wind moved around her gently as she walked back toward the house. No trees whispered her name. No birds fell silent. The forest, for once, treated her like it would treat any other living being, no longer a creature in transition. Just Joy. When she returned home, it was empty. Lila was gone. Her things remained, her books, her clothes, her presents, but she herself had vanished. No note.
No goodbye.
Just silence. The house felt different without her. Not haunted. Not ominous. Just still. Joy wandered through the rooms, unsure of what she expected to find. Her own thoughts echoed louder now. She was not the same person who had first entered this house. Not the same woman who had awoken in a hospital bed to golden eyes and a stranger calling herself wife. She was something else now, someone in between past and future. And she felt it. The transformation. Not just emotionally. Physically. Her senses were still heightened. Her body still felt wrong, or perhaps too right in ways she didn't understand. Her reflection showed subtle shifts, color returning to her skin in the sunlight, but her eyes still glinting with gold in the shadows. She was no longer being pulled toward Lila, but the mark Lila had left was not gone. It was part of her now. Not a curse. Not a possession. Just part of her. Joy opened the journal she'd once found in the nightstand. Her own handwriting, pages filled with thoughts she had once buried. She turned to a blank page and began to write. I remembered things. Things that make me want to stay. Things that hurt.
But they're mine now.
I'm not afraid of the pain anymore. I'm afraid of forgetting who I became in the process. She closed the book and pressed it to her chest. Later, as the sun dipped low, she searched the attic one last time. Among the old boxes and dusty keepsakes, she found a map, drawn by hand, a trail through the woods, marked with a red circle. Our place, the note said in her handwriting. She didn't remember writing it, but something inside her knew it was real. She followed it the next day. The trail was overgrown, but not impossible to navigate. And the path it led to was not just through trees, but through memory. She remembered walking here with Lila long before the accident. She remembered sitting in silence beneath the trees, sharing secrets, promises. Promises she thought had been erased. When she reached the clearing, it was empty, but not abandoned. Someone had been there recently. A scarf left hanging on a low branch. Lila's. Joy picked it up. It still smelled faintly of roses. She stood there for a long time, waiting,
Hoping.
but Lila didn't come. That night, back in the house, Joy lit a candle and stared at the flame for hours. She thought about the bond they once shared, how much of it had been choice, and how much had been desperation. And now that the supernatural thread between them had been cut, the question remained. Did she still love Lila? The answer came quietly.
Yes.
Not because she needed her, but because she remembered her. Because even when the pull was gone, the feeling remained. And that meant something. Days passed. Lila didn't return. Joy began to worry. Not about the bond, but about the woman she had once loved enough to surrender her memories for. Where had she gone? Why hadn't she come back? Then one evening, Joy heard something outside. A soft knock on the front door. When she opened it, there was no one there. Only a small wooden box, placed gently on the step. Inside it, a note. In Lila's handwriting. I felt it break. You're free. And I promised I wouldn't hold you if you chose to leave. I've gone where I won't hurt you. But if you still want me, you'll know where to find me. Beneath the note was a ring. A simple silver band. Joy's breath caught. The ring was her own. The one she had worn on her finger before the crash. The one she hadn't remembered losing. She clutched it tightly. The decision wasn't clear yet, but the feeling was. She didn't want this to be goodbye. She just didn't know how to make it something else. Not yet. That night, she dreamed again. But it wasn't the old dreams of hunger and shadows. It was a memory. Her voice, asking, "Will you stay with me if I'm broken?" And Lila's answer, "Always." Joy stood at the edge of the woods, fingers brushing the ring Lila had returned to her. It rested on a chain around her neck now, close to her heart, where it felt like it belonged, not as a promise, not yet, but as a reminder of who she was before, of what they had, of what might still be. The house had grown too still, too quiet. She had stayed in that silence long enough to know it wasn't where the story ended. The transformation, though halted, hadn't fully reversed. Her body still moved differently. Her senses still sharpened in the dark. The bond was gone, but something had taken its place. Awareness. Joy was no longer pulled by a supernatural thread. She was drawn now by choice. By memory. By the ache of unfinished words. She packed lightly. The photo from the ritual. The journal. The ring. She didn't know exactly where she was going, but she remembered enough. Hints from dreams, old maps, vague paths spoken of in whispers during moments she had once forgotten. Lila had said, "You'll know where to find me." And somehow Joy did. The path through the woods led her deeper than before, past places she'd never dared walk alone. The forest shifted as she moved, subtle changes in sound, in scent, in pressure. It felt as though the earth itself recognized her. No longer prey. No longer claimed. Something new. Something choosing. After hours of walking, she reached a ridge overlooking a small valley cloaked in morning mist. At its center stood a house unlike the one they'd shared, smaller, older, half swallowed by ivy. It looked more like a memory than a place. Joy approached slowly. There were no wards, no barriers, no signs of fear, just a single lantern burning in the window. When she knocked, there was no answer. But the door was unlocked. She stepped inside. The air was cool and familiar. Books lined the walls. A fire burned quietly in the hearth. A faint scent of roses and wood smoke clung to everything. She stepped further in. "Lila." Her voice was soft, but it carried. No reply. Only silence. Joy turned slowly, eyes scanning every detail. There, on the table, a letter. Folded. Her name written in a hand she knew better than her own. She unfolded it with care. "Joy, if you're reading this, then you chose to remember. You chose to feel everything, even the things we tried to run from. That takes strength I never had, not before you. I don't know what version of me you're looking for. The one who met you at your lowest? The one who loved you selfishly? Or the one who walked away so you could choose yourself first? I've been all of them. And I'm still here. If you want me, come to the lake. At dusk. If you don't, you'll never have to see me again. No bond. No shadows. Just silence. But I hope you come. Because I still love you. Always. Lila." Joy folded the letter slowly, pressing it to her chest. She stayed in the house until the sun began to lower, then walked the path that curved through the valley. She found the lake just as the last light stretched across its surface. The sky was gold and soft, the air still. Lila stood at the edge of the water, her dark silhouette reflected in the glass-like surface. Joy stopped several paces away. Neither of them spoke at first. They just looked, really looked, as if seeing each other for the first time without fog, or hunger, or fear. Joy took a slow step forward. "I remembered," she said. Lila's eyes shone. "I know. It didn't change everything, but it changed enough." "You came," Lila whispered. "You told me to find you." "I did." "Did you come to say goodbye?" Joy shook her head. "No," a long pause. I came to ask if we can begin again. Lila didn't move. You're free now. You don't owe me anything. That's why this matters, Joy said. Because I don't owe you. But I still want you. Lila's face crumbled, just slightly. Not with pain, but with hope. Are you sure? Joy stepped closer. I'm not the same.
I don't know what I am now.
But I know what I feel. I know what's real. And what's that?
Us.
The part that was always real. Even under the fear. Even under the forgetting. Lila's voice caught. You might still change. The transformation didn't finish, but some things, they don't go away. I don't want them to, Joy said. Not if it means understanding you better. Not if it means becoming something new with you, on my terms. Lila closed the space between them slowly. Then let me ask again, she whispered. Not as your savior. Not as your captor. Just as someone who loves you. She held out her hand. May I walk with you? From here on, not ahead of you, not pulling you, but beside you. Joy looked at her. Not the creature who had haunted her dreams. Not the echo of something lost. Just Lila. The woman she had chosen. The woman who had loved her in a way that was flawed and desperate, but also deep and real and aching with truth. She took her hand. Yes, she said. Let's walk. The lake became their refuge. Not the house, not the memories they had tried to rebuild or escape, but the space between. A place quiet enough to hold the weight of what they'd been, and tender enough to carry what they might still become. Joy and Lila didn't rush to define this new version of them. They walked. They talked. Sometimes they said nothing at all. But the silence between them was no longer haunted. It was healing. The transformation within Joy hadn't stopped completely. Though the bond had been severed, some pieces had rooted too deep. Her senses remained heightened. Her sleep was thinner. The way her body responded to light and scent and movement had forever changed. But she wasn't afraid of it anymore. She wasn't at war with herself. She was becoming. Not into what Lila had wanted her to be, and not what the ritual had tried to pull her back from, but into something entirely her own. Lila noticed it, too. She watched Joy with quiet wonder, like seeing someone bloom backward through time, grief unwinding, memory returning, strength growing where once there had only been survival. You're different, she said one evening as they sat by the fire outside the cabin. I think I always was, Joy replied. I just didn't know how to hold it before. And now I think I'm learning. But not everything stayed quiet. It began with a scent, unfamiliar, sharp, like old smoke and something dying. Lila noticed it first, her posture tense, her eyes narrowed. Joy felt it too. A coldness under her skin, like something watching from far off. We're not alone, Lila said. That night, Joy had a dream. Not one of memory, but of something darker. A forest burned red. Eyes she didn't recognize. A voice she had never heard whispering her name with disdain. When she woke, Lila was already standing at the window. He's here, she said. Who? Lila didn't turn. Someone I once ran from. Someone who doesn't believe people like me deserve to love. Joy stood beside her. What does he want? To remind me of what I was. And to punish me for what I tried to become. They didn't speak more of it until the stranger arrived. He didn't knock. He stood at the edge of the woods at sunset, watching the cabin like it was a ruin. Tall, dressed in black, eyes like coals. When Joy stepped outside, he didn't flinch. So, he said, voice smooth as ice, this is the human who made you weak. Lila moved instantly, placing herself between them. Don't. Still protective, he murmured. Still pretending you're something else. Leave, she said. There's nothing left of that life. That's where you're wrong. His eyes flicked to Joy. She's still turning, isn't she? Still carrying your blood inside her. You call this love. I call it unfinished work. Joy felt it, the quiet thrum inside her, the part of her that hadn't let go of the transformation completely. It pulsed in recognition. He smiled. You feel it too. The change never left you. And it never will. She made her choice, Lila said. And she'll make it again, if she has to. The man's expression darkened. You think you can hide in love forever? That it protects you? You defied our kind for this. I didn't defy them, Lila said. I became more than them. His voice dropped to a hiss. Then you'll be the first to burn. He vanished into the trees as quickly as he had come, but the chill he left behind remained. That night, Joy lay awake. What was he? She asked. Lila stared at the ceiling. A relic. A reminder. A warning. Did you know he'd come? Eventually. I didn't think it would be so soon. What does he want from me? Nothing. Lila turned to face her. It's not about you. It's about what you mean to me. You said you were done running. I am. Then don't start now. Lila's voice trembled. I won't let him take you. He can't, Joy said. I'm not his to take. I chose you. I keep choosing you. Lila reached for her hand. Then we'll face him. Together. In the following days, the woods grew colder, the skies darker. The presence of the stranger lingered. Never seen, but always felt. Joy continued changing. Her senses heightened. Her strength grew. And one evening, while walking the lake's edge, she felt something shift inside her, a clarity, a strength, not borrowed, not gifted, but hers. She turned to Lila. I'm ready. Lila's eyes widened. For what? For whatever comes. I'm not half anything anymore. I'm whole. I'm not yours because of the blood, or the bond, or the past. I'm yours because I want to be, and I won't let him undo what we've rebuilt. The full moon rose. The stranger returned. And this time, Joy stood in front, not as a victim, not as someone changing, but as someone who had already become. The night was colder than the others, not because of the air, but because of what it carried. Joy could feel it even before the wind changed, the pressure building like a storm beneath her skin. The stranger was near, no longer watching from the shadows, no longer testing the edge of their peace. He was coming to end what they had tried to begin again. Joy stood at the edge of the lake, eyes fixed on the line where the forest met the water. Lila was beside her, still as stone, but Joy could feel the tension coiling beneath her calm. You don't have to stand in front of me, Lila said softly. I'm not, Joy replied. I'm standing with you. And then he came, emerging from the trees like a memory made flesh, tall and unyielding, with eyes that burned like dying stars. He said nothing at first, just looked at them with the hollow judgment of someone who had watched centuries pass and still learned nothing about love. When he finally spoke, his voice was like gravel under glass. You should not exist. Lila's voice was steady. Then don't look at us. He stepped forward, the ground darkening beneath his feet. You were one of us. And now you crawl through the dirt with a half-born. You shame what we are. I found something worth protecting, Lila said. Something stronger than fear. His eyes landed on Joy. And you think you've become something new. You're nothing. Not vampire. Not human. Just broken. Joy stepped forward. You don't know me. I know enough. I know what blood lives inside you. I know what you were supposed to become. I was supposed to be forgotten, Joy said. Buried beneath grief. Fed to silence. But I chose otherwise. His gaze sharpened. Then choose now. Leave her. Sever what's left. Or watch her burn for what you've become. Lila moved, fast and furious, but Joy caught her wrist. No, she said. Let me. She turned to face him alone. Her heart was steady, her voice clear. You think power is about what you can control, who you can turn, who you can own. But you've never known real strength. Because real strength is choosing love even when it hurts. It's remembering when it would be easier to forget. It's standing still when the darkness demands you run. He snarled. You don't understand what you are. Yes, I do, Joy said. And then it happened. Not an explosion. Not a scream. Just a shift. A pulse of light from within her, subtle, then radiant. The bond was gone, but something else had grown in its place. Something of her own making. Her eyes glowed, Not with hunger, but with clarity. Her skin shimmered beneath the moonlight, not cold, not lifeless, but alive with something new. She wasn't what he feared. She wasn't what Lila had tried to protect. She was something they hadn't imagined. Something whole. The stranger took a step back. "What are you?" "I'm what happens when someone chooses transformation," she said. "Not for power, not for escape, but for love." He tried to reach for her, but the moment he moved, the wind around them shifted, trees groaned, the lake stirred. Nature itself refused him. And then he was gone, swallowed by the forest, as if he had never existed. Silence returned. Not empty, just still. Lila turned to her slowly. Her eyes were wide, not with fear, but awe. "Joy," she whispered. "What are you?" Joy smiled. "I don't think it has a name. Not yet. But I know who I am." She stepped closer, reached for Lila's hand. "And I know who I want beside me." Lila stared at her, like she was seeing something sacred. "You're not like me."
"No," Joy said.
"But I'm still yours. And you're still mine." Lila exhaled shakily. This time not because of blood or magic. "No," Joy said, threading their fingers together. "This time because I choose you." They stayed there by the lake until the stars rose. No more threats. No more fear. Just the sound of wind in the trees and the soft beat of two hearts in sync. Days passed. Then weeks. Joy didn't fully return to what she was. And she didn't become what she was supposed to be. She existed in between, unique, balanced, complete. Together, they built something new. A life not defined by hiding or forgetting, but by remembering. Fully. Fearlessly. Joy kept her journal. Lila kept her silence, only breaking it when the words mattered most. They didn't speak of forever. They didn't need to, because they had now. Every day was a choice. And every day, they chose each other. One morning, Joy found a new ring, simple, silver, left beside her coffee. No words, just presence.
She didn't need to ask.
She slipped it on and smiled. The story didn't end. It began again. Not after the crash. Not after the forgetting. But here, in the quiet strength of two people who had lost everything, remembered themselves, and chose love anyway. Thank you so much for being here and for believing in this channel. If you feel in your heart, you can donate with super thanks so I can focus more and more on this project. Your support helps me keep creating these love stories and bringing them to life for you. See you in the next video.